Alrighty, so today we're going over Kai. He's playing Widow on Anubis A to defend. This is a UGC map, so um, it's technically not ranked in that it's not solo queue or anything, but this is like a community organized event where similar SR teams are thrown against each other. So you've set up on the high ground. You have Ryan, Anna, Mercy, Diva, and I think Junkrat on the other high ground. And off the bat, the comp is not bad, but your guys' positioning as a comp are incredibly weird. So up here you have Ryan and Anna alone. And then you have your Mercy with you. You have Junkrat, I think he's on this platform over here. And then you have Diva up here with you. Having Diva up here with you isn't that bad in and of itself, because with her boosters or with just walking down, she can help your Rhine, and she can DM from far enough away that it won't take her that long to get there and assist your Rhine. But ideally, your Mercy and your Anna should kind of be swapping places. Your Anna and Junkrat should swap places. So your Anna should be way in the back, where she can't get dove, and your Junkrat should be kind of up here, because he has the mines for mobility where he can jump out. Whereas if they decide to jump on the Anna, you guys are screwed. So kind of just right off the bat, this setup is odd, in that you're playing your Anna really ballsy and your Junkrat really safe, when it should be the opposite. Alright, so your Diva goes down to help your Rhine, that's fine, and you're just waiting for someone to take a peek. This holding up here to start with is not a bad option. It's pretty bog standard, but like, your Junkrat should not be up here. Alright, so they have a Pharah. You hit some good shots, boom. Fantastic. You put in the comments that she gives you problems, and she definitely does, but this was a good opener, and this makes her the downside to this is because you play, like, you destroy her so well that she knows you're a threat, and she starts playing very safe. So unfortunately, because you like two-shot her straight off the bat, she's probably like, oh crap, alright, let me play smart.
Nice shot.
Alright.
Somebody's up there with you, Sean.
So, your team, one of the things I'm probably going to harp on a lot right now is your team's communications are, quite frankly, not great. Like, so far, you called that they had Junk Pharah. Great. Okay, so they have a big kind of burst, shield spam damage, but what's the rest of their team running? Where are they pushing? Where are they going? I know they have dive because I've watched this video, but your team needs to be communicating as much as possible, and while your team communicates a lot, it's not what I would call effective communication, in that your comms are there, but they could definitely be improved. So your team's holding up there. Again, this Anna. Like, this is, especially against dive, because Diva holding right click over you completely negates you as Anna, all of your abilities. So if your Anna's way in the back, well, yes, she can be negated by Diva, she's not going to be in danger. And your Mercy has the mobility to be healing these people up here if they really need extra heals, right? Because you have two strong healers, so in theory, nothing around you should be dying. And then, like, your Junkrat should be up here as well, because the thing is, by spamming from so far back, he's not going to be able to put pressure where he needs to. Your Junkrat really needs to be up here, pressuring the choke, pressuring them if they go right, pressuring them if they go left, wherever they are. But he can't, if they decide to go left, your Junkrat cannot do anything about that. Because from his angle, he would have to go up in through the room where the Mega is, and then drop down on him, but then he's completely alone with no heals, no sight lines, and they will murder him alive. So you guys are fighting, you kind of are checking where the Junkrat is, but... Alright, so the Pharah sees you, and now she's kind of starting to spam.
You want point? You help him point?
This was one of, like, the key... I'm going to highlight that. This is one of your key fuck-ups in this fight. If you got to this high ground, you would have been safe from the Pharah spam, because you're completely safe up here, and you would have been able to take your time and hit your shots. Because you messed up this hook, you're now thrown in the thick of things where you do not want to be as Widow. And then the other thing is you have two options when you decide to hook out, and that's down here or up here. You manage to hit the one part that really will screw you over. So now you're on a 10-second cooldown and you're in the middle of things. So the Diva and the Tracer bought at point, the Monkey jumped you. And then because of that jump, you're now in probably the worst spot. So you decide to help by shooting. Now, hold on, we're gonna go back. So you drop down and you start shooting. Alright, so it's called, your team calls. Alright, so there were 3 calls there, right? Mech low, Tracer low, Winston missed his jump. However, there was one thing that was not called, right? And that was Tracer used her recall. So now Tracer is at a point where you can burn her. And that's a big nerf to a dive team if their Tracer's dead. On top of that, your team is not focus firing at all, and you're calling things like mech low. That's fine. That's a good call. Monkey missed his jump. Okay, he's got no mobility. Tracer recall. Okay, but like you guys aren't all shooting the same thing. So this is where it all kind of falls apart. When this Diva and Tracer get on point, your team doesn't know how to react. I don't think you guys have a set rotation or a set shot caller, and I don't mean because you have an in-game leader who should be making the plans in between fights, and then you have a shot caller who uses what information they were given as a plan and then tweaks it to fit the situation. And sometimes these are the same people, sometimes they're not. Sometimes you have a guy who's really good at planning things out when the fight's not going on, but you need someone else to call stuff out when the fight is happening. Sometimes it's the same person, but you guys have no focus right now. And so this kind of just falls apart.
You're gonna shatter.
Okay, so their Mercy died, their Winston died. No one called that. And yes, everyone should be looking at the scoreboard, but at the same time, that's useful info.
Then one behind. Purple.
Right, so then he's calling Zen 1 behind, but no one called that you have you only have Mercy heals, that your DPS are down, things like this. This is because of how quickly this fight ended up. There's not a lot I can really say about what you did, and so I'm going to point out how these comms are hurting your team. And well, they're not hurting your team, but they're causing your team to be at a disadvantage, because if you guys focus fired someone, or if you let them know that Tracer was down or things like that, Diva can just fly into her with missiles and delete her, especially because she'd already eaten your Venom Mine. Would you have died? Probably. You were in a really crappy place when you messed up that hook. Odds are you weren't going to live from that. But if the Tracer died, that's a whole lot less damage on the rest of your team. Instead, the Tracer's still alive. And the Tracer is farming your Diva.
Where? I can find him. He's main.
The other thing to this, I have no idea where your Anna and Ryan were.
Then one behind.
Alright, so Farrah's floating above.
Purple.
This is why you want your Anna up here, or on this back area, because this way she can, if she's all the way in this back area, she can heal everything that's happening on point. If she's up on this back balcony or on this balcony, and she can rotate between the two to keep her safe. The issue was with her being all the way up here. Once they went past her, your Anna's trying to heal through enemies and getting line of sight checks and kind of all these other issues where she's not having as big of an impact as she could be.
It's actually 1 HP.
And then your Ryan is fighting up here, I think. Maybe he went to save the Anna. I don't know. But you see how spread out you guys are, and the thing is, this spread out didn't happen because the team fight went on for a long while. I mean, it's barely been a minute into the round, maybe 2. This was how you guys started the fight. You guys put yourself at such a disadvantage because it's your sniper's up here. Okay, that's great. Your Junkrat was over here. That's horrible because by the time the grenades get to there, it's already been a second or two, so the enemy team's already pushed past or just kind of moved on. Your Anna's so close up here against a dive team that like she's just gonna get melted. Your Ryan's up here. Your Diva decided to join her, so then you had 3 up here. You had 3 way in the back, but it would have just made more sense for your Anna to be up here, your Junkrat to be up here, and then the rest was fine. Because as Widow, you kind of need big sightlines, and so you want to be back on these kind of high grounds in the back.
I can find him. He's main.
So they get murdered.
I'm dead, I'm dead. Far behind stairs, far behind stairs.
Yeah, and then they just
How's
clean
that?
up because... So now you choose Reaper into Dive, which isn't bad. Especially on Temple of Anubis, because of the short angles that basically all of second makes up. So, as Reaper, you know, you can play up near the front choke, whichever way they come in. You can just start shotgunning. If you get hurt, you just wraith back to your team. If they come this way, you can hold up by this pillar, turn around, wraith into, wraith out. Same thing. Like, there's a lot of very close quarters engagement, and they, while they have ways to deal with it, it's very hard to. So, giving up first, that's fine.
Yeah, Reaper.
Oh, yeah, stay on, right?
Yeah. Paragon, if they...
Fine for you to come up here. Kind of awkward now that your Junkrat's also up here, because they're going to be looking for the Junkrat, and so then because of that, they will find you. So a little bit rough, but this is a good place to hold to start with, because no matter which way they push, you can get in, and then like I said, if you get low, you just wraith out.
Stay on Farah, the Farah is your responsibility. Is that
Got
cool?
it. I'll do it again.
So I think that he was basically saying that Farah is Paragon's responsibility, which, yes, but also no, because they're running Far Mercy, right, and Zen. So it's like no matter what, this Farah is going to be getting healed by at least one of her teammates. So she's got 2 people's worth of resources invested in her. So you need at least 2 people's worth of investments to counter her. And so your Zen needs to be prioritizing Discord on her, if you've identified that she's the problem. Your Diva needs to call when she's going for her, so that you or the Anna can back them up, right? And if all 3 of you or 4 of you go after this Farah, she's not going to last long. The issue is, what ends up happening is this guy tries to do it all alone, but then he cannot go through both of these people helping her. If the Mercy just decides to heal with the Zen, that is more healing than Diva can dish out, especially unsupported. Especially if they're not discorded. Like, your Diva's just going to feed their brains out every time.
I'll try to help.
Alright, so you hold up here. That's fine.
Tracer's discorded.
Let me know when they come through. Winston jump. Winston bubble.
Winston's discorded, Winston's discorded.
Alright, so you get down here. And then Tracer gets you, so you
Back up
wraith
here again.
out. That's fine.
Yeah.
Close, but you
Big
live.
enough.
Alright, Tracer decides to leave, so you don't really go contest. No point doing that, and then also the other thing is, since he has no bubble, it's a good idea to play near what he's going to dive. And odds are, of your team, he's not going to dive your Anna, or your... He's not going to dive your Mercy, he's not going to dive your Junkrat, he's not going to dive your tanks, he's going to dive your Zen. So you being back here right now is kind of serendipity, because you didn't plan for this, but it works out very well because you're able to try to help your Zen. Because here's the other thing, as like, if they're running dive, they're going to dive. And so, playing Reaper, right, you get that early fight in, up here, you're already at 30 ult, that's good. Then you fall back to your team because you're hurt, that's good. And then you're near your team for when they dive in, so you can be aggressive, right? And you can push back into them for coming into your territory. Because dive works up close, and that's your territory, and so... Monkey dives, your Zen, right? Bubbles, okay. Your Diva comes in. So they committed with ults. And he was getting very good DM from his... Like, this was a very good dive from their team. Monkey jumped in, dropped bubble. Once bubble broke, Diva DM'd. Mercy kept healing. But he already had ult. So he planned to use that to sustain, to follow up on your Zen.
I'm dead. We gotta call target soon.
The Winston's low.
So now at this point, you're just getting out-ulted. Because they won the first fight so decisively, and then you swap, that they have way more ults, and they can just kind of burn them. The other thing is you never hit tab, which pisses me off, and you guys never communicate ults. The last time you hit tab was when you were up here, and it's been 30 seconds without really a tab. So 30 seconds ago, you had Nano, probably had a couple other things. Let's see, what are we at? 309. So you had Nano, you pretty much almost had Tyra. This was your swap off of Mercy. You probably weren't going to get, unless your Ryan got a really good pin and swings onto them when they dove in. And then your D.Va burns ult to remake. So, you go over here to hide from the D.Va bomb, that's fine. And you try to do damage to the Pharaoh.
Stack Tracer. They don't have any.
And then, yeah, so... Who did your Ana Nano? Wait a sec, what?
Winston's discorded. It's on Pharah.
Back up, Paragon. Yeah.
Tracer's on Mega down below.
Someone was got nanoed. Who was that was blue?
Yeah.
Oh, your D.Va got nanoed. I'm guessing because she got low trying to chase the Pharaoh. So really all you had was Tyre. And you would have kind of had to Tyre before they dove your Zen and sustained.
Right. Going on the Winston.
Alright, so you try to deal with the
Stack
Pharaoh.
Tracer.
But like I said, the Pharaoh's getting healed. The Pharaoh's got a Harmony and the Mercy Beam is also hitting her. So like you alone are not going to be able to do anything. The D.Va alone is not going to be able to do anything. Like it's going to have to be a team effort if you want to take out this Pharaoh.
They don't have any ults but trance. You don't point. Try and stall.
Trying.
Yeah, and then at this point you're just, yeah. You got out ulted. So, what could we have done better there? Alright.
Tracer's discorded.
Let me know when they can.
So with this comp, right, what needs to realistically happen, and this isn't even the best solution, because right now you have two dive targets that they can go for. They can go for your Ana, or they can go for your Zen. And you don't really have the power to protect them. So really what you want to make sure is that these guys are never near each other. And if possible, you want one playing near this doorway and one on the other side. So that way if one gets dove, the other can try to support from the other side. The other issue is you guys just had two swaps. So you're like, you guys have to be planning for these ults. Again, when I said like your communication as a team is I think really what's holding you back. Like I feel like you guys don't have set plans or like set positions or rotations, or you don't plan out. Like I haven't heard any of you say what ults they have. You know, do they have Valk? Do they have Trance? Are we going to try to force out Trance by sending our Reaper after the Zen? Once the Trance is out, are we going to just tire whoever else is left? Like, these are things that you need to be doing in between each fight whenever there's downtime. You know, you need to identify not only what ults they have, but what ults are on the table, what ults are coming online soon, what ults they just used, what ults you just used, how are you going to use your ult? You know, is it like, is your Ana going to ult to give more damage, or is she going to ult to keep someone alive? And I get that sometimes shit happens in the middle of the fight, and you can't tell. You know, she could be like, well, I'm going to nano Orion so he can swing on him, but then, you know, Zen's about to die, so she nanos him. Fine. But if you at least have some sort of a plan before the fight happens, you'd have a much better chance of kind of actually making it through the fight. So, as for what else they have Self-Destruct, they have Barrage, they have Valk, they have Trance, they have Primal. They might have Pulse Bomb, they might not. So they have 5 ults coming into this fight, right? Because they won first pretty decisively. And you have 1. Maybe a 2 if he hits good spam. Maybe a 3. But the issue is you guys have half the ults they do. And so you need to plan to play around this, right? You just need to communicate with each other on what's going to happen, what the plan is, what you want to do.
I'll try to help.
Tracer's discorded.
Let me know when they come through. Instant jump.
So this was a fuck up on his part, but you didn't really need to drop down to deal with it. Because up here you're actually relatively safe. The Tracer can't really do real good damage to you up here. If the Diva missiles, you can just step back and avoid them. The Winston can't really zap you effectively. So all you have to worry about is the Pharah. And again, you can avoid that by staying up here.
Instant ruffle.
Winston's discorded.
So the fact you drop down isn't great, but I mean, it kind of, like I said, it works out serendipity in the end because you're near your Zen when he gets jumped, so you're able to provide the most help. But there was no real reason to give up the high ground. Just burst the bubble and let your Junkrat spam him.
Discorded. It's on Farah.
Back up here, guy. Yeah.
Tracer's on.
You are literally at 1 HP. I'd have been so mad if I was that Tracer.
They got down below.
Alright, so you start getting a Harmony, which means you can really tank. Monkey dives. Get some good shots. Monkey sustains. And you get out ulted.
I'm dead.
That was not great. The second your Diva realized she was going to get demech, she should have lobbed it at main to try to get the Mercy, because especially because they'd just gotten rid of Winston Bubble. So she might have been able to get someone by using it to remech without throwing it anywhere. It's kind of easily avoided.
We gotta call target
The
soon.
Winston's low.
Right. What's going on with
So they did have Pulse Bomb as well. So yeah, you just get out.
I got stack
They
Tracer.
press Q much harder than
They don't have any ults but Trance.
I mean, yeah, they don't have any ults, but they just wiped all of you, and you only have 1 ult, so you're not gonna, like, it's too far.
You don't point. Try and stall.
I'm trying.
Alright, so then you go offense, and you start off Widow.
I just picked Diva instinctively. Sorry.
Yep, no, you're good.
That's right.
So the plan here, Paragon.
Okay.
If they're on the medium ground where Reinhardt held, then we're gonna go right immediately into high ground. If
Okay.
they're on the far back high ground where Kai was holding initially, then we're gonna go to the left, and we're gonna have you and Neo go up onto that high ground and flank behind them and try to boop them off that high ground. That's only if they're all up there, not if just a Widow is there. Okay, does that make sense?
Say the last part again.
Like, you'd fly up. We're gonna go out the left-hand door, by the way.
Okay, left hand door. If they're hanging on high ground, what do I do?
You and Neo fly up through those windows on the left side. Like, we're all gonna go left. You guys fly on up through the windows on the left side, and then you try to boop them off the high ground.
Okay.
Last of your job, we need you to do a quick check. Actually, you're the only one who goes out main. Check and see where they're holding, so that we know before we get there. So just like do a quick fly up and check and see where they're holding.
Me? Okay.
And Farah.
They're holding on main flat.
Yeah.
Main plat.
gonna-
Okay.
So we're gonna go to the right. Go to the right high ground.
Diva dive.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Speed. Right in this Tracer. I'm dead.
Reloading. I'm dead.
Get it out. She turned around and clipped me right in the face. That was just unlucky.
Killed the Mercy. Maybe we can regroup. I got 60 on
Yeah.
my shatter.
Nice.
I needed that.
We could also run break too over like I don't know Zarya. That might help.
Maybe. They had the Pharah, so I'm a little wary of that. Alright, let's try that path again.
Yep,
Ready?
same path.
1, 2, 3. Speeds.
I'm on D.Va, D.Va low.
I'm dead.
I'm on Winston, Winston low.
I got shatter.
Get the Winston.
I need health.
You guys have no healers. Pick up health packs.
Shot, sorry. Me and Zarya stuck behind.
Alright, I
left
think we
behind.
need to go main with this Pharah going that top right. She's just gonna sit in that corner and spam us.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go main.
Crap, I'm stuck here still.
I'm out.
Try to get out if you can. If not,
Doing what I can.
Trying to help you out.
Thank you. Chasing a recall?
Okay.
D.Va purple. D.Va purple.
Let's go main. Just go main.
Right up.
Let's go.
Only double one now.
All right. So this. How long were you up here? You jump up here at 550, and at 640 you finally die. So you are in the same spot for about a minute. Now you are not a bad widow by any means. Yeah, you're beefing a couple shots, whatever. But you are limited by the sight lines you are holding. They know that you're running widow. They know you're on widow. They know you're up here. So they're all playing way over on this side, out of your sight lines. They're playing up in the little balcony. So you have two options, right? Stay here and prevent them from going into it, right? Or be aggro and reposition. Depending on what your team does, depends on what you do. Since realistically what should happen is your team goes to point, you start fighting on point, and then you are back here where they can't really deal with you, and you start murdering. Because your team goes right and up to the top, you're not able to get any value out of being up here besides the one mercy kill, which is a good kill, but happened after your team already pretty much lost that fight. And so what I would have said you should do is relocate and take a more aggressive position. So you start shooting,
I'm
but
on
like
D.Va,
if you're
D.Va low.
not getting an angle because of all this crap,
I'm dead.
right? Then jump
On Winston,
out,
Winston
like
low.
I got
you
shatter.
have grapple hook.
Get the Winston.
So you can just jump down and then get a line of sight over here, and then if they dive you, grapple right back up. But right here, you're not providing much value to your team, and then because of that, it's basically a 6v5. Because while, yes, they have to be worried about where they're going, I mean, the Zen is fighting from completely safe. The Tracer up here is completely safe. I don't know where the Mercy is, but besides the one time you killed her up here, she was pretty much safe down here. And so you got to kind of be a little bit more aggro with this.
Let's go.
So then the Pharah comes after you because she can pull the tight angles and get a drop on you. And then you die.
In the middle.
I'm dead.
Yeah, it's stuck.
Dead.
Yeah.
It's over.
We've got Graves. We'll have D.Va bomb. We can combo those.
Alright, so at least now your team is talking about ults, what ults you have. But I still haven't heard what ults they have at all, at any point. Except for when you'd already lost the round and they said, well, they've only got trance. Cool.
Where is their Zen holding?
I have no idea. I haven't seen.
On
him.
bridge, as what I've seen him.
All right, let's go to the left this time.
I'm not there.
Alright, we're all here.
You ready?
Ready? 3, 2, 1, speeds.
Ferris
Yeah,
still
above
flanking,
the
Ferris flanking.
Alright, so I mean this is kind of an unluckers, but there are a lot of good flank spots for Pharah on Anubis, right? Because she can come through this window, and she's above you. She can come around from this side, and she's above you. The other thing is you should be discussing what ults they have so you know what to look out for, right? If you don't see the Pharah spamming you from where the rest of the team is, she's probably hiding somewhere trying to set up for an ult. So again, I'm just going to like keep harping on the same points, but your guys' communication and planning is okay, but it could be so much better and your lives would be so much easier. Because I don't think this team, I think if we were to listen to the comms of this team, it would be so much crisper, it would be upsetting to you guys.
Nice. Get out of here.
Right, so you trade 1 for 1. They're monkey ults.
I can't.
That's speeds.
These are just game.
Your diva bombs,
I'm down.
question mark,
Yeah, we gotta get out of here.
and then you drop
I'm trying to let the
everyone
creeper
else.
come.
They're low on the.
That's like your 3rd hook you've butchered. I don't know. That's probably a weak point of yours.
Over here.
Yeah, he was the only one left.
Dang it.
And then you try to
Alright,
get
Kai, how
out.
are you feeling on the Widow?
And then Tracer comes in. I would have hooked further away and tried to kite it. Basically, the second that Winston uses his mobility to get after you, you use your mobility to get out. Because then that Tracer would have had to extend much further than she had to, and she would have been in much bigger danger to herself.
Give me the swap.
Yeah, okay.
Full goats and run to point.
Not a bad call. Going goats, yeah, it sucks against Pharah, but she just used her ult, so you don't have to worry about her ulting your thing, and then you can just focus it. But this next part is what really worries me.
Goats isn't something we ever practice or have played, so.
Oh, this hurts me. I understand not following everything the pros do because this is a league, but at the same time, you guys should be practicing the meta in places where the meta is especially strong. I'm not saying to always run goats non-stop, but goats is very strong on certain maps. Anubis is one of those maps. You guys, it shouldn't be crazy that you guys run goats. Now, if you were to say, I don't want to run goats into Pharmacy, because we're feeding a lot of ult charge or something like that, that's different, but saying that you've not practiced goats is a worrying thing. Because goats is not a high technical required comp, right? You don't, it's not, everyone doesn't have to have crazy aim. It requires good game sense and planning, right? Which is something you guys should all have and be working on. So like goats doesn't require, you know, your Anna to hit every single shot on a floating Pharah, and also Nano, your Genji who's flying over there, who has to be hitting every single headshot. Like it's a very, you group up and you run at the enemy or the objective, and then when they come to stop you from touching the objective, you murder them. So like the fact that you haven't practiced goats worries me at this level, because I didn't know what SR you guys were until you started looking up the enemy team's SR, and then at this level, at a diamond level, you should be practicing goats. It's what's meta right now. Even with the PTR changes, it looks like it's still going to be pretty strong in most situations.
The rest is pretty easy. Where's Farrah?
Alright, just go main. Right.
Alright, so you call out where's Pharah, or one of your teammates does. That's fantastic. You've identified what the problem is, but again, throughout that whole setup time when you were swapping, no one thought about what ults they had. We know that they just used Monkey ult and they just used Pharah ult, but so then what? They've got Valk, they've got Trance. Do they have self-destruct, or did they use it? I don't know. Do they have Pulse Bomb? Probably. Like, these are things that need to be addressed before each and every fight.
Ready? Go. Run.
I don't like this biotic field. You were at full health, or 180. This is kind of a waste.
Run.
You were actually, yeah, you were fine. Yeah, end up working because the diva comes after you, but you could have saved it and had it for a little bit longer. And then you leave the biotic field to come get the health pack to fight in here against a diva and now a tracer as well.
Just send.
Nice. Get that Zen.
I'll get res.
I would have stayed where, like, I get that your team is on the point and you want to assist them, but the good thing is Soldier is a long range character. You don't have to be in the thick of it with your team as if you were a Reaper or something like that. Like, you could easily have just played back here, you know, demech the diva, and then move to this choke, and then help your team out who's on the point.
Alright, go main. Ready? Go.
Alright, so your team calls to go, and then you obviously stay back because the monkey dove. But it's like at this point, you either commit to being with your team, in which case you go with them, or you commit to dealing with these guys, in which case you stay back here. You can't do a little bit of one and then go try to do a little bit of the other, because that indecision is what gets you destroyed.
Run.
Help.
The other thing is, you don't communicate to your team at all that you're not with them. And then this leads them to think that, hey, their soldier is with them, let alone they have no idea that their soldier is dealing with 2 tanks on him.
I'm dead.
So then you try to leave. You have rockets, they have just grabbed. Shoot your rockets right into that. Yes, you could kill this tracer, but I would say it's better to burst whatever's in the grav than to try to hit her. Unfortunately, she manages to recall just in time, but this would have been a much more secure target. But see, your indecision has caused you to face Farah, Diva.
Just send.
Nice. Get that Zen.
And then
I'll
you
get
get us
res.
out there.
Alright, if we die fast, we have time for another fight.
Yeah. I'll be coming back with Shatter if you guys can touch.
You would touch, yeah.
Be careful here, guys.
Looking.
You don't have any tanks.
Come back quick.
Alright. Ready?
Alright, so good burst firing on soldier. Your soldier mechanics are pretty good.
Gotta go main.
Go.
Alright, so the monkey jumps you, so you just bail. Great, right? Because the monkey's used his mobility, right? He used his bubble as well, and now you have the mobility to get away from that. I don't get why you threw down your health pack, right? You're very eager to drop your health pack,
I'm dead.
and then you immediately leave your health pack. Like, that's great for whoever else is over there, but I mean, probably could use that later on down the line. I'm gonna just go on a limb.
Come on, Zen half.
Kills. Get that Zen. Nice. Dead, nice.
Wouldn't a biotic pod have helped you survive that? I don't know.
You gotta get there far. And there, it's in.
Coming back in.
So this turns into kind of a trickle infest, but I think you guys got enough off the shatter that
Dead.
it works.
That's okay, it's just their tanks.
Come on, Diva.
This is low.
Nice. Kill that diva. Don't let her get back and back.
Alright, so it's fine that you dropped it straight away in this fight because your Ana had just died, and you wanted to make sure your diva got heals. But at the same time, some communication to your diva and saying, hey, biotic field here, or heals dropped here, or something, so that she knows to play in that and get those heals, which also gives you ult charge.
Zen's
Nice,
coming back, one
guys.
down.
Alright, so good kill on that tracer.
Good shield down.
As
Unlucky.
soon as that Zen's out of trans.
I'm
Hit
on
the
him.
point.
Nice.
On Mercy.
Get the Mercy. She's in the mini.
Mercy dead.
One.
Winston.
Fire one. I'm
see how much better this fight went once your team actually started shot calling and like focusing. The only issue is that it took you guys being in OT to actually get your comms on point. And so your comms should be like this all the time. Like, just focus, everyone shoots it, it dies, you move on.
I'm down.
Oh my god, called that he was down. You know that you don't have any. I'm guessing you know the guy's voice well enough to know what you don't have.
Alright, I'm on point.
I hit her twice before she killed me. Kai,
Nice,
go
guys.
go Reaper. I know you
Wait,
have
hold
ult,
on,
go
wait,
Reaper.
Let's wait for our Ana. Don't go in yet.
No worries.
He made that call, you listened to it, I'm gonna respect that. I'll disagree with it, but hey, the call was made. Because the thing is, even with Soldier Oil on second not being that great, you can still force them to burn a lot of abilities to stop you, and then you go Reaper anyways, and then...
Switch off Tracer.
Stay Tracer.
Or is top right?
I'm not Neo, you're leaving me.
No, I'm not. You're in my circle.
Oh, I wasn't.
Watch out for Ferris, she's going around right side. She was.
Alright, so this is going to be an issue of your comp. You have Lucio, Ana, Reaper, Diva, Rhine, and Tracer, but it's going to be very hard for anyone you have to kill this Pharah quickly. Because unless the Pharah really overextends, she's going to be able to conk mine back to her team, and you don't have a Discord to help her die quicker. And this is why I think Tac Visor would have been good, is because if the Pharah is even in a slightly bad position, you can really punish her. Because if you Tac Visor in the right timing, the Pharah will avoid the Tac Visor, but then she won't be able to go back to her team to get heals, in which case your Diva would be able to clean up. You can't really force the Pharah to stay still as Reaper, though.
Alright.
Alright, ready?
She's main, she's
Yep.
main.
Speed.
Hit her.
Speed right.
Open.
I'm dead.
Back up.
Just gonna die.
Just run.
So what else do they have? Because, again, I haven't heard any calls. They probably have Barrage. They just used that. They trans at the end of the fight. They probably have Valk. They might have Self-Destructor Monkey. I don't know. You guys should be keeping track of this and, like, calming it and then trying to plan out what ults to use.
Run to spawn.
Do you want to keep Shatter, or do you want me to switch to Winston or Hammond?
Let's keep Shatter so we can use Shatter.
We gotta make the decisive choice. We're gonna get poked down. We don't have enough heals.
Yeah. Let's skip this right now.
Too many targets for me to keep DM on.
The far is going after me almost every time.
Alright.
I think we need to wait for
we're
their tanks to
passive.
die before we make a decision. Alright. Let's go left here.
So, bit of a dick move taking the health back when you have a Lucio and an Ana right next to you and you heard your Ana just get directed. But good to push this left room, because if they dive in, these are tiny little chokes where you do a lot of damage. Your Ryan can swing on them. They can't really do a lot. So it's good that you push here, and then the fact that they push into you is really great for you guys.
Go, go, Winston, 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 Winston.
I got Mercy.
I'm dead.
I'm making
Okay,
a
point.
Get that Zen, get that Zen, get that Zen.
Loading.
Then half, then half. Can you help a point? Nice. Second hit.
Yeah, that's fine. Honestly, all of that worked out really well.
Versus coming out with ult.
Choose one.
Get her up.
Pushing up this far is really good because it causes them to burn a lot of their abilities just to deal with you at spawn.
Nice. Double.
And then because of
Nice,
that,
guys.
because
Good
of their
job.
delay,
Yeah, so their tanks are super aggressive. I think we just need to wait for their tanks to come in and then get their tanks.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be our plan for this.
We could do Brig to prevent them from diving us.
It's up to Sean or Kai. Which
Do you want
one?
me to go Roadhog?
We'd have to have Paragon go Roadhog, because you're our main tank today.
Roadhog is a main tank, man.
That one shot game from season 2 was really good.
It's whatever you think.
Kai, I want you to Ash
Alright.
or McCree, one or the other. Whatever you think you'll do a better job of taking their fire down with.
Probably Ash. Well, probably McCree actually.
Go ahead and actually go Roadhog. They've been running Monkey. So, Addison, go Roadhog. Let's keep the Diva to help eat things.
Do you have golden weapons for every DPS?
Sean?
Good go,
Your
Monkey.
Hanzo, go Hanzo. It's a weird comp, but I think that this is probably our best bet.
We don't have a shield, so keep that in mind. If they run a widow or something.
So the moment somebody peeks, call it out. We hit it all hard as we can.
Okay.
We have 2 minutes.
Farah.
Rough comp to start out with, but you're respecting the call.
Their main plat. Go left.
Winston jumped in on me. Jumping in on me.
Let's get this Winston. Can we kill him?
Man, that Diva. That was a clutch play by that Diva. Because you should have had her.
On his low.
Winston's in. Winston's in.
The issue being that you're then up there alone, and then the Farah and Diva and Lucio all notice and come after you.
Come on,
Right,
Winston,
back
Winston
up.
one.
Die. Get out.
I'm getting out. I'm definitely sloppy there. We need to move as a unit more.
I'm gonna do the call
Yeah,
for that.
Addison.
Where's that?
Alright, everybody go. We're gonna go left, so everybody get on the left.
Right here. Okay. Alright, ready? 3,
Alright, yeah.
2, 1. Speedy boy.
Farah's on.
Paragon, go.
I'm on Farah.
Left.
Hey, out. Farah's half.
So, this is what I meant about you can't designate one person to go after it, and then it's weird is that your Diva went like main and then straight after the Farah instead of going with the rest of your team
1.
left.
Speedy boy.
So like you called to go left, you all came left, except for your Diva. So she's just gonna feed her brains out.
Farah's on.
Paragon, go.
I'm on Farah.
That's not your fault.
Hey, out. Farah's half. We're all stuck there.
Winston shield's down.
We can keep going now.
Winston's in purple. 2021. I'm dead.
It's Farah down.
Okay. We have a minute.
No.
We just gotta go
I don't
main
know,
here, I
she's
think.
playing so smart. I can't hit her. The way she's playing these corners.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Solid hit.
Might have to go main here.
I agree. Let's go main.
Go main. Everyone else go main. I'm gonna go side.
She's close.
We're down our healer. Diva.
Got Lucio.
The mini.
I really don't like that high noon. I don't know what the objective of that high noon was. I really don't like that high noon. So you guys decided to go main because you've only got 40 seconds left. That's fine. You
Go
push
main.
up.
Everyone else go main. I'm gonna go side.
You're at 70 health and you can only see maybe the Farah and the monkey. And then you move. I don't know if it's because of the speed boost and that kind of messed with you. You didn't mean to go this far in. But if you're going to ult anything, you should be focusing this person here. Because you can break monkey bubble with right click, roll, right click. So.
We're down our healer. Diva.
Got Lucio.
The mini. Diva can die in the mini.
Yeah, and then you're at like
Mini?
2 HP, so you're going to die.
Get out.
Can't have you go a different direction, Aston. We need everybody to go the same way.
Back into the mix.
I'm gonna switch. We're gonna go Hammond, just like get the point.
Yeah.
You guys need to go in now.
Yeah, see, I don't wanna.
So the great thing was there that they nanoed and primaled, which is weird, but hey, that's ult's wasted on their part.
Sleep.
You right clicked. You got the kill. Worth. Don't let anyone tell you you shouldn't right click.
Sleep. Get on point, somebody. Get on
I'm
point,
almost
Sarah.
there. Ah, damn it. I got my
Alright.
block.
Alright.
Of all the people, you're like the least mobile, so it's not like you and Anna shouldn't be expected to be getting on the point when you have like a Diva, Lucio. Well, Hanzo not really, but
I think we needed a shield
If
tank
I push in left, you guys need to hold off like 2 seconds, because I actually did get 2 picks going that way.
Going bunker defense.
You know what? We
Reaper Bastion.
have to hold a long time.
I'm gonna stop it here because we're coming up on an hour, and then I mean, this point you kind of just they have 6 minutes to get one tick, so eventually you guys lose. But I will say that the main thing to work on, right, of all the things, comms, right, your guys' comms and your planning are the weakest part of your guys' gameplay. When you guys actually all shot call together, you guys like burned through that point. The issue was it took you guys being in overtime for you to realize that you need to focus fire. Because I'm guessing this is a diamond team if you're going up against diamond Pharahs, and that Pharah could be the outlier, but you guys should roughly be a mid diamond team. And so your guys' mechanics are all good. But what's really going to set you guys apart is your comms and your planning and your ability to react to situations. You need to learn, live, love goats. Goats is meta as hell right now. There is no reason you guys should not be familiar on goats on at least a basic level. Triple tank, triple support. You use speed boost to get the Rhine in. Rhine swings on stuff. Zarya protects him with bubble. Diva protects with defense matrix. Everyone goes ham. I'm not saying to be super nuanced in it and everything, but it should at least be a card in your deck that you're able to play. This is a huge one. You guys never planned out engagements. You never decided what ults you would use in a fight besides kind of, oh, our Rhine has shatter, we'll try to use it. That's not great. Like, be like, Rhine, as long as you shatter 2, that's great. We'll move in with that. We'll sustain with beat drop. And then if anyone gets low, Anna just nano him because we don't have anything to combo with. That in and of itself is a lot better than half of the majority of the game. Pharah, like, the other thing is if they're running a Pharah and a Pharah who's dominating, you need to invest resources into dealing with that Pharah. You can't expect one person to deal with a Farm Mercy who's also got a Zen Orb on her. So you need to say, alright, well, let's run Zen so they can get a Discord on her, and let's run a hit scan so he can also help out. And it's like, without that Pharah is going to dominate the whole game. You know? And a good Pharah can be hard to stop, but they shouldn't be unstoppable. And then again, like I said, because of your guys' comms and your lack of planning, that Pharah got much bigger ults than she should have. You know, even if it's just before every fight being like, will this Pharah have ult? They'll be like, no, she used it last fight and then died right away. Okay, cool. So we don't have to worry about Pharah showing up out of nowhere and blitzing our whole team. Besides that, mechanic-wise, you're fine. Yes, it could be tightened up a little, on some of your shots on Widow. But there wasn't like a huge glaring thing. This guy with the health packs, drop them when you need them or when your team needs them, not the second you've taken 1 inch of damage. Your Reaper play was fine. Your Reaper positioning was fine. Your Widow, if you're in a spot and it's been 15 seconds and you're not really able to hit anyone with a shot, you need to move, because otherwise you're just saying, hey, I'm up here. Whenever you get a chance, come shoot me because I can't really do any damage to you. Your Ashe play was okay, even though we didn't go over it. There wasn't really any glaring issues with that. And your McCree play was really good too. So, I mean, aim-wise, you're doing okay. But it's the game sense part of the game that is holding you back right now. You know, there's no glaring, oh, well, if your aim was better, you'd have won that fight. It's if you guys played around their advantages or played to your strengths or minimized their advantages. And that comes with, planning out, going through each map, having a rough idea of what you want to run, how you want to run it, have a rough idea of where people are going to rotate to. And basically what I would say to do is to say, all right, it's Temple of Anubis. On offense, we're going to start with this. Okay, if they're running goats, we're going to swap to this. If they're running dive, we're going to swap to this. Right? And then it's like, okay, well then when we're on defense, we're going to run this. On second point, we'll run this. If they have dive, this person will play around here. If they have goats, this person will play up here. And then basically just kind of giving a rough... Ideally, you want it pretty detailed, but even just a like everyone on the same page kind of deal. Because having your Anna on the balcony and your Junkrat on the back platform, I'm going to hope that wasn't planned. Because if so, you need a new planner. But those guys should have swapped positions. And so, what I would say is helping you guys the most would be this. Right? Talking about your plans through the game. Are they working? Are they not? Will they work as long as we force out this ult, etc., etc.? And then just focus firing. Because for the few fights I did see, it was very... Most of the fights, everyone was not shooting at the same person. And then since whenever you died, there were always at least 2 people shooting at you, if not more. And that was kind of part of the reason that they won, was because they were focus firing on you, and you guys were just kind of shooting all over the place, and so they would out-sustain you, even though you had better heals with like the Mercy Anna, things like that. So I think we'll call it there, my dude. Good luck with the rest of the UGC season. I'm sure you guys will improve. I don't know how far along it is in UGC right now, but team comms and plans and things kind of come with time, so don't be too disheartened.